An analysis by Boston Consulting Group finds that only 10 to 15% of jobs in the US are likely to disappear completely due to AI, while up to 55% are expected to be reshaped by its influence.
보스턴 컨설팅 그룹이 이달 초 내놓은 분석 보고서를 통해 미국 내 일자리의 최대 55%가 인공지능의 영향으로 재편될 것이라면서도 AI 때문에 실제 완전히 사라질 가능성이 있는 일자리는 10에서 15% 수준에 그칠 것이라는 전망을 내놨습니다.
I think after the past year or so, we've had lots of people coming out and saying AI is going to take all the jobs. There's going to be no jobs left. When in fact, when you do a bit of assessment and do a bit of research, it's a more complicated story. And here, Boston Consulting Group are certainly looking at what it means in terms of either substituting human labor or augmenting human labor, and that it's going to depend on each job. So, for example, AI could maybe reduce the cost of handling calls in a call center. But that substitution, it leads to reduced workforce demand, whereas in software engineering, when you're coding, you still need the coders to be doing things and to use the AI to develop and to keep expanding, and so it's more augmentational. So the issue is your job replaceable? Hopefully not. But if it's not replaceable, there may be some changes to come. Your job may well be reshaped.
Absolutely. Recently, I should say, watched an interview with an expert talking about what AI can't do. And it was really interesting because they said something we underestimate is the beauty of hesitation.
Yes.
The beauty of sort of taking pauses, not just as we speak, but when we just write or just in our daily lives, the beauty of not saying or doing is still something that should be cherished. And they were sort of getting to a slightly philosophical view of how we as humans can do that, whereas AI can't. This AI's just, they get to it right away. There's no pauses, no hesitation, and that's effective. But is that always good?
Yes, and it's fine if it's for a repetitive task,
right.
because AI is learning from established data. But if there's something new that's encountered, sometimes it may well be the human approach of taking time and puzzling out for yourself that's going to give us the best solution. We shall see. Certainly, things are changing, but they're not necessarily changing at the rate that was thought a year ago, maybe.
Exactly. AI 때문에 내 일자리가 없어지는 거 아니야 라고 전 세계적으로 많이들 걱정을 하죠. 그런데 이제 최근 보고서, 미국에서 나온 이 보고서에 따르면은 완전히 없어지는 직업은 한 10에서 15% 정도에 불과하다라고 합니다. 그것도 생각하기에 따라서는 상당히 큰 퍼센티지이지만 그래도 애초에 사람들이 생각했던 절반 이상 없어지는 거 아니냐. 그거는 아니라는 거죠. Let's have a look at due to.
Yes, if something is due to something, it's because of it. The cause is that second thing. So here we have 10 to 15% of jobs likely to disappear due to AI. So AI is the cause of the job's disappearance.
뭐뭐로 인해서, 뭐뭐 때문에, because of, due to, blah, blah, blah. What about to be reshaped?
Well, to be reshaped means to be changed and means to be changed in shape. Your shape is different because of whatever it is. So it's not just a small change. When we use the term reshape, we're sensing that there's something big happening, that there's a big shuffling about or a big rethinking of something. It's changing a lot.
Yeah, exactly. 재편된다. To be reshaped. 다시 빚어지고 모양을 만든다라는 거니까 이 AI로 인해서 살짝씩 우리가 일하는 방식의 변화는 있을 수 있습니다. 그렇다고 해서 완전히 대체되는 것은 우리가 우려하는 것만큼은 아닐 거라고 하고요. And then on the other hand, they say software engineers, there's going to be more of a demand for software engineers, so there's going to be more jobs.
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
but you're gonna be working alongside AI.
Yeah.
So you're not just going to be coding by yourself. It's meaning working alongside the computer and doing other things. But we do need people who are skilled. Without skilled people, AI cannot improve and cannot get better.
그렇죠. 이렇게 특정 일자리는 오히려 늘 것이다 라는 전망도 나왔습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. An analysis by Boston Consulting Group finds that only 10 to 15% of jobs in the US are likely to disappear completely due to AI, while up to 55% are expected to be reshaped by its influence. Now let's move on to the next headline.
The UK could face food shortages, including chicken and pork, by the summer if the Iran war continues, according to a worst-case scenario drawn up by government officials.
중동 전쟁과 관련해 영국 정부가 자체 상정한 최악의 시나리오에 따르면 만약 전쟁이 장기화할 경우 올 여름이면은 자국 내에서 닭고기와 돼지고기 등 식품 부족 상황이 대두될 것으로 예측됐습니다. Well, this is affecting everyone then, basically, because we need food and meat on the table.
Yes, but it should be said this isn't necessarily going to happen like this. They're preparing for the worst.
Okay.
So things could well be better, but what they're doing, the government is saying, is they're planning for the possibility that the Strait of Hormuz continues to be closed.
Right.
So that is the worst case scenario. That's if things go really, really badly. Because the issue they have there is that it's not just the oil, it's also the byproducts, including the supply of carbon dioxide. And where that comes in is when it comes to the slaughtering of the chickens and the pigs, and also the preservation of food. We think of carbon dioxide as what we breathe out, but actually it has a bigger role when it comes to food preservation. The other issue is about price rises. So there are some people in the food sector who are really worried that it's not just about a shortage in supply, it's also about the fact that food inflation could reach 9% in the UK by December. So we're talking about the prices of food increasing a lot over this year.
It's interesting that CO2 can affect, meat, basically.
Yes. Well, it's used in all sorts of things. That what we don't know about food preservation could be written in a very, very large book, Sue. There's a lot going on here, and certainly I hope every government is on top of it.
네, 그러니까 식품 산업에 이렇게 이산화탄소가 많이 사용이 되는데 그 공급에 차질이 생기면서 결국은 이제 도축, 그다음에 뭐 여러 가지 음식과 관련된 저장, 음료 생산에까지도 영향을 미쳐서요. 영국에서 내다보기에는 이 중동 전쟁이 장기화되면은 결국은 시민들의 식탁 위에 올라오는 여러 가지 음식에도 직격탄을 그 시민들이 맞게 될 것이다라는 얘기를 하고 있습니다. There's going to be a shortage of food.
Oh, well, there could be a shortage.
Yes,
worst case
scenario니까 there could be a shortage of food.
Yeah.
What's a shortage?
If there's a shortage, it means we don't have enough of whatever it is. There's less than we need. So you can have a food shortage or an electricity shortage or a shortage of teachers or a shortage of workers, just meaning we don't have enough of whatever it is.
It's a noun and it means 부족. 부족하다라고 하면은 we are short of something or we don't have enough of something 이렇게 표현을 하겠지만 그냥 명사로서 부족 현상 이럴 때는 a shortage. In this case, it's the plural form, so people in the UK could face food shortages. 이렇게 식량 부족 현상을 맞이할 수도 있습니다. That is, of course, a worst case scenario.
Yes, and here when we talk about worst case scenario and best case scenario, these are both hypothetical. Doesn't mean they're going to happen, but it's where we're calculating, forecasting, predicting and guessing what might happen so that we can be prepared. If we talk about a worst case scenario, that's when we're planning for what happens if everything goes wrong. So in the case of the war in Iran, we're talking about the Straits of Hormuz being closed for months and months and months, meaning oil and other products can't get out.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario for me, the war ends. Everybody goes home. The ships can go back and forth.
Sure.
So we use it a lot when we're talking about planning. You'll hear it in business meetings where they'll say, well, what's the worst case scenario for this? What's the best case scenario?
네, 우리가 말하는 최악의 시나리오, 최고의 아니요, 갑자기 생각 안 나네요. What's the opposite? 최악의 시나리오 그리고 가장 좋은 상황.
I don't know what it is in Korean. I'm sorry,
Sue.
Sue.
Oh my God, my mind has gone blank.
This is the worst case scenario.
It is the worst
Sue
case
can't speak Korean anymore. Panic! Panic!
그래서 이런 것들을 영어로는 worst case scenario, best case scenario라고 얘기를 합니다. 갑자기 네, 생각이 났습니다. 최상의 시나리오라고 하면 될까요? 자, 그래요. This is why I need my staff members to help me out. 자, 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. The UK could face food shortages, including chicken and pork by the summer if the Iran war continues, according to a worst-case scenario drawn up by government officials. All right, well, let's move on to the final headline.
2 magnum bottles of French wine that spent nearly a century undisturbed in the cellars of Scotland's Glemis castle and are now regarded as the best preserved examples of 18th century Bordeaux in existence have sold at auction for record-setting prices.
스코틀랜드 글래미스 성의 지하 저장고에서 거의 100년 동안 그대로 보관돼 현존하는 18세기 보르도 와인 중 가장 잘 보존된 사례로 여겨지는 매그넘 사이즈의 프랑스 와인 2병이 경매에서 최고 판매가를 기록했습니다. Alright, so it's a very old bottle, or 2 bottles, in fact.
Yes, yep. And it's all because of a fussy earl. Basically, back in the 1800s, in 1870, this wine was produced. Chateau Lafite Rothschild, 1870.
Yeah.
The Earl of Strathmore at the time purchased 48 of these bottles.
Yeah.
However, when he tasted it, it was too astringent. It had that tanniny, awful taste to it. He said, "I don't like it," and he just left it alone in the cellars for 93 years. And then in 1971, a wine expert discovered it, called it the Aladdin's Cave of Wine, because these bottles were perfectly preserved.
Quite fitting.
And now they've gone on sale. They've shattered records. Again, the use of shattered here. And they've gone for over $100,000 for one and $200,000 for another.
와우. 이렇게 어찌 보면은 좋은 고집으로 인해서 The Earl of Strathmore가 1878년에 와인 48병을 샀는데 맛이 좀 아직은 제대로 익지 않은 것 같아. 좀 떫어. 이런 얘기를 하면서
Well, no, he called it undrinkable, Sue. he really didn't like it.
좀 별로인 정도가 아니라 마실 수가 없을 정도다. It's undrinkable. 이렇게 얘기를 했군요. 그래서 계속 그냥 저장고에 놔두고 그냥 세워라 내워라 그냥 기다렸던 것 같아요. 근데 그러다 보니까 어느새 이렇게 100년 ga까이 됐습니다. 100 years, did you say?
Yeah, pretty much 93
nearly.
years until it was rediscovered in 1971. But we're going over 100 years now in 2026.
그래요. 발견된 거는 93년 만이었군요. 지금은 뭐 그거보다 훨씬 더 오래 지났지만 이 magnum size에서 magnum이 뭘까요?
Well, magnum is a term for this size of bottle. So a normal wine bottle is 750 milliliters, and a magnum is twice that size. It's 1.5 liters. Now, Sue, do you know why?
No.
It's really interesting. It's not just about storing more wine. These bottles, these magnum bottles, are much better for preserving wine because there's less oxygen and more wine. In a small bottle, the ratio is different. So what you need is for the wine not to be oxidized. So when you have them in these magnums, they're preserved better. And in this case, fortunately, they have turned into this magnificent Bordeaux.
여러 가지로 보관 측면에서 이 magnum size 와인이 그 안에 들어있는 oxygen, did you say?
Yes, it has less oxygen compared to a normal bottle.
산소의 비율도 좀 적고 이래서 좋군요. 이 magnum size라고 하면은 일반 와인병 750ml의 2배인 1.5리터 용량의 큰 병을 얘기합니다. 자, 그다음에 best preserved examples 볼까요?
Well, if something is preserved, it has been kept, and best preserved, it's kept in the best condition. In this case, the wine was stored for, going on almost 150 years until today, and yet it's very drinkable. It's in very good condition, the best condition. And examples of something is when we look at it and we say, oh, this is the best of the bunch. This is the best when we compare to anything else.
네, the best preserved examples of something. 무언가의 가장 잘 보존된 사례들이 되겠죠. 이 경우에는 18세기 보르도 와인. 다시 읽어볼게요. 2 magnum bottles of French wine that spent nearly a century undisturbed in the cellars of Scotland's Glemis castle are now regarded as the best preserved examples of 18th century Bordeaux in existence, have sold at auction for record-setting prices.